رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. Tonight, inshallah, will be the second part of our presentation raising kids in the West, or in particular in the US. For those who attended the first presentation in other masjid, we're talking about the criteria on how to make the right choice. Because when you and your spouse are on the same page, then the task of raising kids will be easier and easier. Versus if the two spouses are on two different pages, they have different vision or different mission or different priorities in their life, then it's going to be hard for them to communicate with their kids, especially if they have two different directions in their life, and one of them contradict the other one. Kids at the end of the day will be getting lost, or at least confused which one is right and which one is wrong. I think we took our time yesterday discussing this issue. Now to move on, tonight inshallah the plan is to just share with you some tips about raising kids in general. It's like a kind of brainstorming, and then we'll open inshallah the floor for question and answer, and if you have any comment or concern you want to share, we can discuss it together. Let me start with the statement that Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu made, where he said, addressing parents regarding raising their kids, or the right way to be in touch with your kids in general. He said, "لاعبه سبعا." لاعبه سبعا means play with your kid for the first 7 years of his life, or her life, whether a boy or girl. لاعبه سبعا وأدبه سبعا. And then in the second 7 years, you need to discipline him. You need to raise him. You need to instruct him. And then وصاحبه سبعا. وصاحبه سبعا, be his friend after another 7 years. So 7 plus 7 plus 7, that's an equal 21. Do not expect too much from your son or your daughter after the age of 21, because it's not an exaggeration to say it's going to be too late for you to start after the age of 21 raising your kids. So you have to take this statement as is. Number one, لعب بسبع. And during the childhood of your son or daughter, he or she is definitely in need for that kind of harmony. You need to build a harmonious and kind relationship between you and your child. You need to act sometimes like him. You need to laugh like him. Let him just jump on your shoulders. Let him wrestle with you. Play with him football. Play with him soccer ball. Spend some time with him. Subhanallah, it's going to pay you back later on. Even if your child is interested in watching some songs in YouTube, spend some time and just sit with him and sing with him. 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed, you know it? 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed, one fell down and bumped his head. Mom called the doctor, and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. I do so with my child. I have a 2.5 years old child, and I spend some time with him on daily basis. On daily basis, because I know what does he need in this age. And if I fail in building bridges and mutual love between me and him, it's going to be hard in the future to communicate with him, because I did not build that strong foundation. It doesn't mean that your only concern is just to play with him. It means that the main job that you need to focus on is to play with him, is to spend time with him, is to build that strong foundation. I mean, he needs to acknowledge, he needs to realize through your behaviors that you love him, that you care about him, that you share some time with him. This is, as I said, will be very important for the second 7 years. He said, وَأَدِّبْهُ سَبْعًا. Why at the age of 7? Well, this is the age of, that's called sin al-tamyiz, or the age of distinction. In other words, that the child in this age is expected to be smart enough or mature enough to understand what's going on around him. In that age, definitely he will be able to distinguish between the church and the synagogue and the masjid. He can easily distinguish between the one who is like working out and the one who is praying. I mean, he does mean what does salah mean, what does siyam mean. I mean, he knows that if you are fasting, for example, then you are completely refraining from eating and drinking. That's why it's called Sindu Tamiz. This is the age in which he or she is expected to be learned and to be trained, to understand. So you start like build the correct aqidah in his heart from day one. As I said, it doesn't mean that in the first 7 years you should not even care about his deen. No, but the main concern, the main job, the main task that you are assigned for is to play with him. You see? Meanwhile, if you can talk to him about the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the existence of Allah azza wa jalla, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the severe punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, all these very simple principles that usually come by nature, you need to insert them in his heart. You need to make sure that he is really acknowledge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his life as his creator, as his sustainer from day one. That he needs to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He needs to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the main focus is to love him, is to play with him, and not to instruct him. It's not the case when it comes to the next 7 years. When he is turning 7 years old, then from now on, you focus more on education and discipline than playing with him. You see? And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, مُرُوا أَبْنَاءَكُمْ بِالصَّلَاةِ لِسَبْعٍ. Command or recommend, well, it's a command actually, it's not a recommendation. مُرُوا أَبْنَاءَكُمْ بِالصَّلَاةِ لِسَبْعٍ. Command your kids to start praying whenever they turn 7 years old. This is the age in which he or she is expected to observe, to understand, to acknowledge. So you focus more on education. And definitely you keep up the same job of playing with him and spending some time with him for the next 7 years until he or she is turning 14 years old. This is, I would say, the most difficult period of his time that he needs to be disciplined, which is from the age of 7 until the age of 14. This is a continuous and daily practice and daily assignment that you as a parent, whether a father or a mother, have to take care of. As I said, you need to enroot the correct aqidah in his heart. You need to connect him with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need to start teaching him how to recite Quran appropriately, how to memorize Quran, how to be in touch with the Quran, how to acknowledge the correct manners and behaviors, and how to have a good attitude, how to be respectful toward other people, how to respect his or her teachers, how to be dutiful toward his parents. You teach him the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ in a very, very simple way, until you make sure that he is really connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He really loves and acknowledges the Prophet ﷺ through his sunnah, through his practice, through his seerah. And then you move to the next 7, whenever he or she is turning 14 years old, then Umar ibn Khattab said, وَصَاحِبْهُ سَبْعًا. Now from 14 all the way to 21, it's a time to act as his or her friend. Again, you should still play with him or spend some time with him. You should instruct him, but in a different way, in a different approach. Do not act as a teacher and he is the student. Do not put him down. Do not insult him. Do not humiliate him. Try to show him as much respect as possible. This is the meaning of صاحبه سبعًا. Act as if you are his own friend. So if you want to admire him, for example, for something good, go ahead and do it in front of other people. But if you want to blame him, or sometimes if you want to discipline him, sometimes even physically if you want to, if you have to, or at least if you want to discipline him, like harsh, if you want to blame, if you want to criticize him, try your best to do it privately and not openly. Do not insult your child, do not put him down in front of other people. This actually will cause a lot of damage in your relationship with him. So لَعِبْهُ سَبْعًا وَأَدِّبْهُ سَبْعًا وَصَاحِبْهُ سَبْعًا. What is next? In the age of 21, he or she is expected just to move on with his life. I don't think he's going to stay with you forever. 21 years old is the time of graduation. He just, will move on with his life, or if it is, or if she is a girl or a daughter, she will be getting married and just moving on with her own life. The other thing is the importance of Al-Qudwatul Hasana. You need to set yourself as a good example and a role model for your kids. And believe me, our kids are way smarter than what we think. They always compare between our instructions or the lip service that we do every day. When we talk to them, Baba, do this, do that, be careful, do not do this, do not lie, do not, you know. They always compare between what we say and what we behave. They always make that comparison. And believe it or not, you will be in trouble. You will be in trouble as a parent if you contradict yourself. If you talk about something and you do something else, then you will be busted. You will be caught by your child. Baba, you were lying yesterday. Baba, you said do not do this and you did it yourself. You see? It's all about the confidence and the trust that you need to build between yourself and your kids. And believe me, it's really easy for you to damage your image or your reputation, or sometimes even your respect in front of your kids if you contradict yourself, if you act in a way that is different than the instructions and the lessons that you give to your kids on daily basis. That's called al-Qudwatul Hasana wa al-Tarbiyatu bil-Mukhalata. Al-Tarbiyah, upbringing your kids, it's not just a lecture that you give them. It's always about al-Mukhalata, the companionship. Look at the way that the Prophet ﷺ used to upbring his Sahaba, although some of them were older in age. But because of their companionship with the Prophet ﷺ, they get significantly influenced by the manners and the behaviors of the Prophet ﷺ. Definitely there is a big difference between my capability and the capability of the Prophet ﷺ, but the concept is still the same. You set yourself as a role model for them. You spend enough time with them. They have to see your manners and your behaviors and your reactions, certain incidents, so they will learn from you. Do not hide your good deeds from your kids. If you are reading Quran, sometimes you need to do it intentionally. You need to open them in front of your kids and start reading. If you are fasting on Thursday or on Monday, do not hide your fasting, because this is your position. I mean, you are a parent, you are an instructor, you are a father, you are a mother. So you need to position yourself in the right position. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have said to introduce Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam to us as the role model. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Allah used to show his companions what is he doing in order for them to learn. I mean, you are not dealing with a stranger, you are dealing with your kids. So you need to show them what kind of ibadat you are doing, what kind of mu'amalat, what kind of akhlaq, what kind of manners, what kind of behaviors that you have. They need to realize that you are really a good model for them, a role model and a good example for them. In my very humble experience, if you set a weekly gathering, whether it is a formal or informal, casual or whatever you call it, there should be like a weekly gathering for the whole family. And in my household, in my family, I call it Usra. Usra means family. So we need to designate half an hour, 45 minutes, sitting together as a family. Now this is a time in which we strengthen the relationship between ourselves. Now what is the program of this Isra? We start with sometimes reading the Quran. I ask my kids to read by heart whatever they finish memorized. Alhamdulillah, I would say most of them are working on their memorization, so I ask them to read. And sometimes I bring Riyadh al-Salihin, very simple, straightforward book. We just go in order, we read the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and then start just explaining to them in a way that they understand. Whether in Arabic or in English, I have to make sure that they comprehend, that they enjoy listening to me. So it's not like a formal class that they have to behave themselves and just sit down properly and cross their legs. I mean, it's a very casual gathering, but meanwhile, I inject instructions. I talk about the Prophet ﷺ. I remember a long time ago, I gave them a series of, this weekly Usra, until we finished a series of short talks, I don't call it lecture. We finished, alhamdulillah, the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ from A to Z. from his birth, even before his birth, والسلام, all the way until his death, with too many details. From Al-Rahiq al-Makhtoum, which is a well-known book for all of us. Definitely we did not read the whole book word by word, but I simplified, I summarized the information, and just share the information with them. SubhanAllah, the more you talk to them about the Prophet ﷺ, the more you attract them to the Prophet ﷺ. Because they did not see him, they did not get the honor of seeing the Prophet ﷺ. So how to make sure that your kids are loving the Prophet ﷺ? They acknowledge what he did for the Sunnah. They appreciate what he did for the Sunnah. You need to make sure that they are fully connected with the Prophet ﷺ. What did he leave behind? He left his Sunnah and his Seerah. His Seerah is his biography. What did he do since his birth until his death ﷺ? And his Sunnah is the hadith that he left behind for us to learn. This is the guidance. تركت فيكم ما إن تمسكتم به لن تضلوا بعدي أبدا كتاب الله وسنتي. So whenever you live, wherever you live, as long as you are fully connected with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in an appropriate way, they are fully connected with the Sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam in an appropriate way, you are in a good shape. You are in the right path. Do not make this usra too long and boring for the kids. Try to choose the right time. Whenever everybody is off, like for example, Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, which is the day off for the whole family. Make sure that everybody acknowledge that this is a time for the usra. So they need to make a proper arrangement. Everybody would be just sitting and listening to you. And then we start talking. I start talking to my kids on one-to-one basis in front of others. How it's going, how was your test, what did you do with your math, with your teacher, if there is any problem or concern in the school or any a problem within our family, we discuss it open in front of everybody. Sometimes, like any other family, sometimes we get into a fight or disagreement or dispute. So for us to settle and to resolve this issue on a weekly basis. If you be consistent and you hold it on weekly basis, it will bring a lot of fruit, and you will, subhanAllah, you will realize the difference. Why you have to hold a weekly gathering? Because everybody is busy, including yourself as the father, or your wife as the mother, or the kids. We live in the US. We know how the daily schedule of people look like. Everybody has his own schedule. Your son goes to football and your daughter goes with her friends, or she goes to college and she comes in the evening. We do not have time to have even one meal together a day. We do not have time to sit together. So we have to make sure that we are not living in a hotel. Our house is not just a place for eating, for drinking, for sleeping, for taking a shower and just living. No. It is a usra. It's a family. It's a household. There is some human touch. There is some human relationship between the father and the mother and the kids, from within the kids themselves toward their parents and vice versa. Everybody loves everybody. Everybody cares about everybody. Everybody knows the news of everybody. There is nothing hidden in the usra. Everybody knows that what everyone or what each one has. If he has a problem or a concern or difficulties in one of the courses that he's taking in college or whatever the problematic, everybody is updated. We know the news of one another. This is the only way that you can, assure that we are living together as a family. Again, it's not a hotel room, it is a family. So we have to make sure that we know each other. There is some personal relationship, a very strong relationship between every single person in the family toward other members. It is important to spend some time, other than the usra, on a weekly basis. Believe it or not, sometimes 10 or 15 minutes before going to bed would be enough. Again, it's only just to assert and to confirm that we are not living in a hotel. This is a house. So we share the same vision. We share the same mission. We are on the same page. We are here to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We care about one another. You don't need to make it like a lecture, but the fact that you are spending 10-15 minutes with your kids on daily basis, even if you cannot get them together, you need to invest some time. Go to your son to his bed room and talk to him. And then go to your daughter, if they cannot get together, go and just talk to her just for a few minutes. Show her that you love her. Okay? Not by talking to her, Daddy, Baba, I love you, just to give her a kiss or a hug or a hug. No, it's all about your behaviors. You talk to him. You ask her about something took place or happened 1 or 2 weeks ago. Baba, what happened with the exam that you took? What happened with the course that you could not register for this semester? So you give her the impression that you know every single detail in her life. And then you go to your other daughter and talk to her. You go to your wife and talk to her. You go to your child and just pray with him 5 minutes. The whole process might take up to half an hour, but believe me, it's a very good investment. When you go to bed, when you go to sleep, you make sure that you are really and fully connected with your family. Everybody cares about you in the same way that you care about everybody. You need to be, when it comes to accomplishment, you spend a lot of time, spend a lot of effort, make a lot of dua for your kids. You want them to be the best. At the end of the day, I'm not saying you need to lower your standards in life as far as the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is concerned. I would say higher your standard, and lower your expectation. Lower your expectation. Your standard is that you want your kids to be the best in the community. I want my kids to be huffaz. I want my kids to be the best in their manners and their behaviors, in their academic achievement. I want them to be the best in all aspects of life. But it's not the case. At the end of the day, they are a human being. They have a lot of challenges. They have peer pressure. They have their own weaknesses. When I talk to them, I always remember myself when I was in their age. I was not perfect. And until today, I'm not perfect. I was giving, my parents a hard time. So I should not actually look at my kids as angels. Definitely, I would love them to avoid the mistakes and the shortcomings that I did in the past. But again, their capacity, their capability of learning and understanding and processing the information and acting upon my instruction as a father is very limited. At the end of the day, they are kids. You see? So do not be idealistic. You need to be realistic. You need to be reasonable. Again, do not lower your standards. Your standards should be as high as possible, but your expectation should be reasonable enough. And you work with them. We have two different models for parents. One of them is called the helicopter model, that you talk to them, you look down and talk to them. This is the standard, and you need to go up to it. This is one model. And the other one is the diving, they call it. The diver or the diving model, in which you go down to their level and you take them up to your level. Which one works better? Definitely the second one and not the first one. Maybe you are better than them, maybe because of your experience, because of your age, because of your knowledge, because of your position in the society. You are highly admired in the society or in the masjid or in the community, and they are not. But again, you are the father. You went through the same experience and you went through the same difficulties and hardship and shortcoming that your kids are going through nowadays. So try to be as merciful, as realistic as possible. Go with the diving model, not with the helicopter one. You go down to their level and try to improve them, try to upgrade their level, their iman level and their connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gradually, step by step. It's a building up process. Do not look down at them when you talk to them and ask them to go up to your standard. You need to go down and try to raise them up. Ask yourself this question whenever you enter your house in the presence of your kids. If everybody just keeps silent, all of a sudden, while they were talking, it means that you are a dictator. What do you expect? If this is the case, if they were just laughing and joking and playing and having fun, and whenever you enter the house, Assalamu alaikum, everyone just keep silent, Well, it means that you are scared. You are a dictator. I'm serious. You need to check yourself and find out what's going on. Meanwhile, if you enter the house while everybody is joking and laughing and did not even pay attention to you at all, as if no one entered the house, it means, excuse me, that you are too loose and too lenient. So do not be too loose and too lenient, but meanwhile, do not be scared. You are not a warrior, you are not a devil, you are not a dictator. You are a father. So the best scenario for me as a father is that everybody would acknowledge that I'm here. So if they are laughing out loud, they will just lower their voice, or at least they will stop for a while until they greet me and just show me some acknowledgement that I'm entering the house, and then they go back to normal. They do not get scared from me, but meanwhile they do not ignore me. This is the balance that we have. We have to have in our relationship with our kids. Do not be too tough, too rigid, too strict, too harsh with them, too scary. Everybody just keeps silent and just try to behave like in a nice way in your presence, and whenever you leave the house, they just go back to normal. This is a kind of hypocrisy that we create in their hearts because we scare them. I don't want my child to have two different personalities in front of me, acting like in a very idealistic way, and in my presence just acting otherwise. I don't want him to be an angel in front of me and to be a devil or shaitan in my absence. If this is the case, then honestly, I'm missing something. I'm not that well connected with my kids. Education-wise, Islamic schools are not, they do not have an adequate competition as far as facility is concerned, as far as academic, excellence and performance. They are, I might be wrong, but my experience, they are up to a certain level, they are behind. To put it in a very nice way, they are behind. Qualification-wise, experience-wise, salaries-wise, facility-wise, there is no way for the Islamic schools here in the US to compete with the public school system. However, regardless of all the difficulties and I would say the shortcoming that you have in our Islamic schools, believe me, whatever the difficulties and the shortcoming might be, at the end of the day, sending your kids to an Islamic school is way, way, way better than sending them to a public school. Because in the public school, you cannot control their mentality and way of thinking. They interact with non-Muslim students, they learn the non-Islamic American culture, they learn the freedom and the liberty, the unlimited freedom and liberty that allows kids just to open the door and leave without even taking the permission of their kids, or even to step out and leave the house completely without taking the permission of their parents. The culture that allows the 16-year-old girl to get pregnant before getting married, or to try drugs, or to try different things. This is not the way that we want our kids to learn. Our Islamic schools in general are not the best place for our kids, but I would say it is the safest place for them for the time being. This is the least harmful option for you. Definitely some of our Islamic schools are very advanced because the Muslim community have invested a lot of money and effort and brought highly qualified people and PhD holders and master's holders in different areas of knowledge and majors to teach, and the administration, finance, they're alhamdulillah well established, but you cannot find the same wherever you live. This is the fact, this is the reality that we have to live with. At the end of the day, if you want to compare between the overall performance, for us as Muslims, education is important, but tarbiyah is more important than education. So if I make sure that the Islamic school is providing some Islamic tarbiyah, is preserving the Muslim identity of my kids, even if I have to compromise a little bit the academic performance of my kids, wallahi, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing. I have an experience with my personal kids. Some of them in the past, for some reason, went to public school, some of them to a private school, an Islamic school, some of them home school. The best option so far, from my very humble experience, I might be wrong, the best option is the Islamic school, regardless of any other factor. The most important thing is that the bad behaviors and the non-Islamic culture that our kids get easily affected with, that is existing in the public school system, does not exist in the Islamic school up to certain limits. So the least harmful option for our kids is to go to the Islamic school, even if the Quran teacher is not that qualified, even if the Arabic language teacher is not that qualified, even if the science teacher is not that qualified, even if the math, you need to take it as a package. You need to look at the academic performance and the tarbiyah. What kind of environment your kids will be experiencing in the Islamic school versus the public school system. Why the Prophet ﷺ, when he was taking his last breath, said, As-salat, as-salata, wa ma malakat aymanukum. As-salat is very, very essential, very important in our life. And if you think that while you are leaving, stepping out, going to the masjid, you just make a statement or declaration, Baba, go for the salah. Are ready for the salah and you sleep. If you think that you did your job, you are mistaken. Wallahi, you are mistaken. Prophet ﷺ said, Muru abnaakum bis-salati li-7. Command or order the kids to start praying at the age of 7. وَضْرِبُوهُمْ عَلَيْهَا لِعَشْرٍ. How many years between the start or the process that you start with your kids until you are allowed to physically discipline your kids? Age of 7, until 8, 9, 10. That's 3 consecutive years. 3 consecutive years of training your kids until you make sure that not they pray, no, they are establishing salah in their life correctly. Wallahi, it's a very painful task that you have no choice but to take it as a parent. Why it is very painful? First of all, you need to make sure that your kids are performing their wudu according to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Many times I need to go with my child, with my son, to the bathroom or to the wudu area and perform wudu in front of him and ask him to do it in front of me until I make sure that he does his wudu according the same way that the Prophet ﷺ used to make his wudu. And then I have to make sure through his mom that he is able to clean his najasa, so whenever he dresses appropriately for the salah, then he's clean. There is no najasa in his privacy after or private area after using the bathroom. And then I need to take him with me to the masjid. I do not just drop him in the masjid and start praying. No, I have to make sure that he stands, next to me and to pray accordingly. Pray accordingly in the same way that the Prophet ﷺ used to pray. I need to teach him how to acknowledge the importance of the salah. I have to make sure that he prays on time. He has a lot of khushu' and focus and concentration in his salah. He makes his salah in the masjid as much as possible. Otherwise, he has to make it jama'ah at home. I need to wake my kids up every day for Salat al-Fajr. I do not ask them too much to wake up 1 hour before Fajr to do Qiyam al-Layl, at least Salat al-Fajr. So before I go to the masjid, I wake them up. Now for my son, I need to wait 10-15 minutes until he makes his wudu and just dresses accordingly, appropriately, and comes with me to the salah, to the masjid. For my daughters, the same. I have to make sure I keep waiting until I make sure that they wake up, they go to the bathroom, they make their wudu, they do their salah appropriately. And then I have to make sure that during Dhuhr time, they are doing the same, that they are in the school or at home. Asr time, the same. Maghrib time, the same. Isha time, the same. How many times you have to do the same boring job every day? That's 5 times daily. And you need to be consistent. You need to do it like consecutively for 3 consecutive years. Every single day, 5 times daily, you have to do. Your kids are praying. So again, just making a call for them, Baba, it's now salah time. And then you leave the house, going to the masjid or going somewhere, or you do your salah by yourself. This is not enough. When you go back home, you need to double check with them. Baba, did you pray? If the answer is yes, did you pray by yourself or jama'ah with your mom and and your sisters. If he pray, if he prayed by himself, you need to give him a lecture that please do not pray by yourself. You have to make sure if you couldn't make it, if you could not carry the salah with me in the masjid, that's fine. Once in a while, you have to make sure, Baba, that you talk to your mom, your sisters, and make sure that you do your salah jama'ah. Not only that, you have to pray sunnah before, if that salah has a sunnah, sunnah al-dhuhr, al-qabliyyah, sunnah al-dhuhr al-ba'diyyah. And they have to apply to make sure that they stand up and they do their sunnah. If I leave them alone, they will not pray salah sunnah. You see? And you keep doing the same job on daily basis, 5 times daily for 3 consecutive years, and then after that, if you realize, after 3 consecutive years of hard work, if you find out that one of them is really rebellious, rebelling too much, he doesn't want to, pray, he always, reject, always deny, then the Prophet ﷺ gave you the permission, to physically discipline your child. مروا أبناءكم بالصلاة لسبع واضربوهم عليها لعشر. You are not allowed to hit your child for not praying if he or she is 7 years old or 8 or 9 until he reaches the age of 10. After you do your job for 3 consecutive years, if you find out that he is not responding, then you go ahead and implement or do whatever you think that would help your child in acknowledging the salah and establishing the salah accordingly in his or her life. Coming to the masajid is important. As I said yesterday, do not expect too much from the masjid system, whether the administration or the imam or the facility. This is the masajid, or those are the masajid that we have. We do not have a youth coordinator. The imam is extremely busy with too many things because he is the religious authority and leader for the whole community. So he has, to satisfy everybody and to serve everybody and to interpret the dreams of everybody and to make a ruqyah for anyone who has a pain and to resolve any marital dispute or business dispute and to answer the questions and to have office hours. It's a very painful job. And he is doing, his job as much as he can. Jazakallah khair. Do not ask too much because this is his capability. So we do not have, the masjid is not that an attractive place for the kids, but at the end of the day we have no choice but to bring our kids to the masjid. And the new masajid that have been established recently, I have realized, because I travel across the nation from coast to coast for lecturing and doing programs for the university, alhamdulillah, I have realized that the masajid recently started acknowledging the importance of hiring a youth director. Youth director is someone who is a youth-oriented guy who can just communicate with the youth. They started paying attention to the facility itself to make it as attractive as possible for the youth and for the kids, like by having a playground and some sport facilities for the kids, so they can enjoy coming to the masjid. Those are some of the tips that I wanted to share with you. Maybe the last thing is that only as needed. Do not hesitate. Do not be reluctant to invade the privacy of your child. Invade his privacy. It's not haram, it's not ayah. You are not a stranger, you are a parent. So as needed, we have a lot of experience with your kids. You know your kids more than anybody else. So if you realize that there are some suspicious behaviors here and there, then you go ahead, just check the text messages of your child, check the history of the laptop that he is using. Go and talk to his teachers, ask his fellows and his friends, come to the masjid and ask the imam if you are not that regular attendee, that masjid. Try to collect information, do some investigation, do some homework. Believe it or not, sometimes your kids might be going astray while you don't know about it. Well, I remember a long time ago, I was imam somewhere in the US, and I started realizing that one of our kids in the community is acting in a strange way. He started sleeping a lot, and he sleeps in his space for a long time when other kids are playing outside. So I just whispered in his dad's ears. I told him, Abu Fulan, double check with your child. I think Wallahu Alam, he is addicted to drugs. And he did not pay attention. He said, La ya Sheikh, tawakkal Allah. I said, okay, this is my advice. I talked to him, Wallahi, after maybe 4 or 5 years. He said, the Sheikh, Jazakallah khair. Wallahi, what you have said was correct. My child was addicted to drugs. I did not realize that. I did not expect him to be addicted to drugs. And I spent $16,000 for one of the rehabilitation centers, to just to bring him back to normal. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of our kids. But again, we need to be careful. Nothing is impossible, everything is expected. Our kids are living here in this society. It's not their fault. They did not choose to come to the US. It's our choice. We parents are the ones who brought them to this society. So we have to stand responsible. We have to be responsible, very responsible, for our decision. We are the ones who brought them to this society. So we have to pay a lot of attention to them and make sure that they are on the right path as much as we can. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وعلمنا ما علمتنا وزدنا علما. صلى الله على محمد وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين. As I said, those are some tips that I wanted to share with you, and the floor is open for question and answer. So if you have anything to add, Jazakallah khairan. The floor is yours. So you can turn it off if it is.
Last night you expounded on that the man can marry a woman Ahl Kitab. So, we want to like that on the Prophet